It amazes me how many leaders feel like whatever they've done in their past, whatever education level they have, is what qualifies them for leader. And I believe to a large extent there's some truth to that. There are those who've accomplished things like West Point Academy, for an example. They've been an officer in the military, or they've spent several years doing a particular job or a task. I think it was Malcolm Gladwell who said, give me 10,000 hours at something to become an expert. And if you just do basic math on that, that's 40 hours a week. That's your typical work week. For 5 years, that's 2,080 hours a year. So after 5 years full time, you can become an expert on something. Of course, in today's society, if you read 5 to 10 books on any given subject, by comparison to the average American, you are an expert on that subject because most people won't read 5 or 10 books on the same subject. As a leader, to qualify for leadership, any one of those things will do to a large extent. But I saw a meme, a photograph with words under it today on LinkedIn that pointed out a different level of leadership commitment, and that's what I want to talk about today. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. The meme that I saw today, the photograph that I saw, was a young man, a fourth grader, according to the Post, and he looked about that age, somewhere around 9 or 10 years old, with a green rope, probably 18 inches long, in his hand, tied around his hand, and also tied around the hand of another young man. According to the photograph, he was in the 6th grade, so that would make him 12 or 13 years old. And the point of the photograph was to say that this 4th grader spent his time training to run through the woods, because the guy on the other end of the rope, the 6th grader, was a cross-country runner who was blind. A cross-country runner who was blind. Now I want to ask you, how many times have you been led by someone who not only says, you should go that way, in fact, you should go that way and tell me when you get there, but someone who said, I've been down that particular path, and I can tell you about 25 steps in, there's a hole on the left that's right at the edge of the running course, and if you're not careful, it'll twist your ankle. See, those are two different forms of involved leadership. It's also a different thing to have someone who will say, let me walk the course ahead of you and map it out and I'll tell you where it goes. That's what most of the coaches do in these cross-country environments. They actually map out the course and they put the stakes and they put the ropes and the arrows on the ground and they tell you where to go. But it's a different kind of leader who says, let me not just go ahead of you, let me not just give you an idea what the course looks like. Let me not just map out the course for you, but let me run the race with you. See, it takes a different kind of leader to get involved in someone's life to the degree that you understand in the moment the crisis they're going through. You feel with them empathetically and maybe even biophysically the strain and the stress that they're facing. There are a lot of leaders. If you've watched Private Ryan recently, I know it's back on Netflix. You can go watch it now. But you'll see a captain who's on the battlefield with his soldiers, side by side with them, living through the battle with them. He's not an armchair leader. He's in the battle. He knows what's going on. He knows what they're thinking. He knows what they're seeing. He knows what they're feeling. He's hearing the bullets whiz by himself. That is an entirely different kind of leadership than the kind of leadership that sits in a political office and never deals with the fallout of the laws that they make. Yes, we have people who've been in Congress 4, 5, 6 decades who have never had to live under the laws that they've imposed on you. The laws that they impose on the American people simply don't apply to them. Well, they don't care who has guns or not because they have their own security force. They live behind a wall and a fence and in private gated communities, just like all the big corporate leaders. They don't care whether or not you can defend your home. It's not relevant to them. Theirs is already defended with millions of dollars in security cameras and armed guards. They live in a different world than we do, but they write the laws that we have to live by. If you're a leader in any sized organization, asking your people, your team, your family, your employees to do a job that you're not capable of is a bit of a stretch. But to ask them to do a job, to do a task, to perform a task you're unwilling to do, that's just unscrupulous. It's altogether possible. For an example, I do my own websites, and I know they're okay. For some people, they're pretty spectacular, but to the professional website designer, my website is laughable. I get that. It's not that I'm not willing to do it, but I'm not competently perfect at it, and I get that. If I led a large organization, it would be silly for me to say, I'm the leader, I'll design the website. That would be silly because I'm not the best at it. Someone else will do a better job at it. I recently had to reply to a client that I'd spent several hours in the prep going through the mind work. We were at the place of a written proposal for a project that they wanted me to take on, and I was pretty excited about the project, but when I started to analyze the actual details of what was going to be required to do the job, I realized that there were better people to do the details of the job. And that's what I told them. I was honest enough to say, look, I understand what needs to be done. I've got a really good grasp of what needs to be done, but I don't have a giant team behind me to pull this off. So in order for that job to be done to the quality that it deserves, you need someone who's great in graphic design. You need someone who's great in web design. You need someone who's great in funnel building. You need someone who's great in all of these marketing aspects in the digital world. And I get by with them, but I'm not a top-level expert at them. And for that reason, I would suggest that you hire someone other than myself. I love your project, love what it's all about, would love to be a part of it, but someone else can do a better job at it than I can. A leader who's not willing to be honest about what they're capable of or competent at will jump at every task and every opportunity. But a leader who knows what the task will require and is unwilling to participate in what needs to be done. They don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't want to follow the same rules that apply to everybody else. They don't want to live under the ideas that they present. That's a different kind of leader. I would encourage all of you, again, from families to small groups to large organizations to political office, if you want to be a genuine, heart-led leader, be the kind of leader that lives under the same rules. Be like that fourth grader who says, I'm not just going to tell you that there is a course. I'm going to get on the course, I'm going to tie myself to you, and I am going to run with you. And if that means we run until we throw up, we will run until we throw up. If that means we run until our legs and ankles are sore, we will run until our legs and ankles are sore. If that means that I have to run faster than somebody 2 or 3 years older than me, as long as someone 2 or 3 years older than me, so that you can finish the race in the top 5, then that's what I will do. But I, as a leader, will go with you to the places that you need to go to see to it that you get there. That's the kind of leader we need in this world. We need more leaders like that, from 4th grade all the way to the White House. We need leaders who will say, whatever laws apply to you, they apply to me. Whatever rules I make up, I will live under them. Because that's the way the world should be led. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith